What's up, everybody? This is 13 with Superior Mobile ByThirteen, and today I have Mopar Max 2020 Dodge Charger. Yet another Charger in the shop here for an Underglow. This one is a stark reminder to me to be very wary of customer supplied product because it always bites me in the butt, a lesson that I had to relearn. This is the standard Lighting Trendz Underglow kit, the aluminum one that I've used in the past. However, from the lessons that I've come through in the past, I now know that if you are going to BlueGhozt these things as compared to using the standard traditional Bluetooth controller, you cannot rely on these types of barrel connectors. It's got like 22 gauge wire inside of this thing, which simply is not enough current handling capacity in order to run all of these products in series. With the traditional Bluetooth controller that comes with these kits, they all run in parallel, so they have dedicated supply lines to the front strips, side strips, and rear strips, and then you're totally fine. But when you do BlueGhozt, they all have to be in series, and so you run into a problem of that you need heavier gauge wire for those connections between the front strip, the side strip, and then that rear strip. This is why in the past for these types of kits I have always made my own wiring harnesses, and I've not had any problems. So on this particular car, I tried using these guys with the BlueGhozt module. So there's that sort of barrel connector wire right there. That's the 10-foot string, and then it runs the 5-foot Alumi, and then another 5-foot barrel connector cable connecting into that rear strip. The first thing that I had was a substantial voltage drop across the data line, meaning that the rear was malfunctioning. So the solution to that last section, I'd replaced that rather than using our little 22 gauge wire there. It was ramped up into an 18 gauge wire, sending the correct data in so that those LEDs were performing correctly. However, then we had a voltage drop issue on the supply and ground line, and the way that you could tell that is if you put it on white, which is RGB white, so that's the most current consuming color that there is. If you put it on full brightness on the rear, it would start flickering. If you turned it down to about 50% brightness, it was totally fine. That's a voltage issue. So then what I had to do was inject power into the rear. People call it injecting voltage, when really what you're doing is you're applying additional current carrying capacity. Luckily on this car, the battery's in the back, so it was a little ghetto. I'm not necessarily proud of it, but it allowed me to just throw a fused power source tapped right off the battery, and then I filled in, basically I did a supply right onto the rear, and that solved the voltage supply issues. These are kind of band-aid fixes to an installation that otherwise I would have preferred to have just done my way with custom wiring. Custom wiring is inherently more expensive, it's more labor intensive, however it guarantees to work. BlueGhozt is pricey. Anytime you start going BlueGhozt, you're going to start spending extra money, because with the normal Bluetooth controller, this guy would have been perfectly fine, but unfortunately not so much. So that's enough talking about all of the nonsense that I did in order to make it work. Let's just show it off. Also, fun factoid is that we did the snorkel lights on this thing. So that's the first time I've gotten the chance to do the snorkel lights on this car. Those are pre-made products from Lighting Trendz. Let me turn that back off so you can see it. It's actually a really clean, super cool part. My only primary complaint about that is the wires are only about, say, that long or so. So that one required an extension in order to reach the BlueGhozt. However, if you're just using a standard controller, you could probably mount it somewhere in the middle and you'd be fine. So the reason I really wanted to use BlueGhozt to control these snorkels is because they have the ability to sweep across now. If you were just using a standard Bluetooth controller, the only way that it would work would be able to chase around in circles, and now these actually scan left to right. Here's a good example of a scanning one. This is called Waves, but this you would not have been able to do on these snorkel products without BlueGhozt. Also, the idea that now we can use them as turn signals, and instead of chasing around as a turn signal, I'll show you the turn signals in a bit, but the idea is that they can do cool things. Same install technique as on the other installs that I do with Underglow and BlueGhozt is I split it right down the middle, so it's actually 2 strips on the front, and then we've got running down the side. Looks pretty nice. That's what we expect. And then the same sort of deal on the rear. These are a little bit narrow just because the exhaust on this is pretty big, and we don't want to get too close to that exhaust. Otherwise, you're going to run into some melting issues, and we don't like that. Okay, so I am running 2 BlueGhozt controllers. I don't know if I actually said that. One for the Underglow and one for the Snorkel. So what's really cool is, again, the ability to sync them together. So you can see that as it scans across both of them, which is super fantastic. This is the hyperspectral one, and let's try something else. Here's another one that shoots around side to side, and as you can see, it goes all the way down the car and bounces back and across. It's just a really cool effect, and especially to have something that isn't actually in the headlights, but still behaves right next to the headlights. It's just fun lighting. Also, because of the ability to control them separately due to two BlueGhosts, you can see that I've got the Underglow on one sort of mode and then the Snorkel's on another mode, which is just something fun, and it's really about the only way I can see myself doing things from here moving forward. Okay, now let's talk about this absolutely killer turn signal. Again, because I cut the strips in the front, we have a turn signal on the left half of it. It runs down the side, but what I want to talk about is the Snorkel, because this is the first time that I actually used this mode where it blinks on and it rolls out. And I don't know if that's the way that the customer is going to want it, but it's the first time I got to use that mode and I got really excited about it. Also, with BlueGhozt, it should be noted that you can adjust the timing and the speed of the turn signal so that you can match it. One other thing integrated as per the normal is we have brake light, so anytime I push on the brake, you will see the Underglow comes on red. I've got this thing wired into a true DRL circuit, so I'm going to have to start the car, and I'll show you the startup and shutdown modes, of which I set up separately for the Snorkel and the Underglow. Again, that is fully customizable. I just had that end on purple and I had that end on white, but you saw that there is a different animation mode for both products, and that is the power of BlueGhozt. So I usually bill about 8 hours for an Underglow installation powered by BlueGhozt, and the reason for that being is that it's actually much more involved than most people think. It was kind of a wake-up call for me when Mac didn't realize that I had to remove the wheels in order to install his Underglow, which of course I removed the wheels, I removed the inner fender liners, I removed the bumpers, I removed the headlights. Oftentimes I'm going into the trunk in order to access a brake light, so I'm taking apart the trunk as well, and in this case I actually tapped the third brake light up in the headliner for the brake light input, so I was going into the cabin as well. So there's a lot of vehicle disassembly. There are ways to just throw wires and cut time, but I prefer to do things a little bit better. The Snorkel install itself is a very quick and easy install. However, you know, the devil's in the details for the BlueGhozt installations. Speaking of which, I should probably show off this install. This is our power regulator for the 5-volt system for the Snorkels, and eventually for the future headlights. This is the 20 amp one, so that'll be more than powerful enough. As you can see, we've got two BlueGhozt modules. Those are fully potted. I did the potting. One is labeled so professionally with Sharpie Underglow, and the other one is labeled Snorkel. All of the wiring for serviceability is labeled with color-coordinated heat shrink, and that's how you know that if you unplug them, then you know you're going to plug them back into the right spot. The reason that we have terminals up here and right there is because both the Snorkel and the Underglow products need to be able to be easily disconnected in order to pull the bumper for any future servicing. Okay, I've definitely rambled way too long for a charger video. This is 13 with Superior Mobile ByThirteen. Check out the video description if you have any further questions. There's going to be product information and pricing and all that yada yada in there. All builds are custom made to order, and if you're interested in work for yourself, then you will need to submit a build request via a form on the website. Currently, I am just absolutely slammed with work since I'm now back after being closed for a month, so please be patient with me. Everyone will be taken care of in the order that they apply. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you later.